Hello, this is Dalia again, and I'm reading another story in the Great Children's Stories, the classic Volland edition. And we're going to read The Three Bears. Do you like The Three Bears, Scarlett? Is that a fun book? That's a fun story, isn't it? The Three Bears. And here's Belle. She's on the floor thinking she's going to get a bug. Well, she's thinking about it. She's not getting one. The Three Bears. Here we go. In a far-off country, once upon a time, there was a little girl who was called Goldilocks because of her beautiful golden hair. It had curls in it. Goldilocks loved to romp and play. She loved to run in the woods to gather wildflowers or to chase butterflies through the open fields. One day she ran here and she ran there, until at last she found herself in a strange and lonely woods. In the woods she saw a snug little house in which three bears lived. But Goldilocks did not know that the three bears lived in this house. One was a great big bear, one was a middle-sized bear, and one was a wee little baby bear. The door of the little house was open, so Goldilocks peeped in and saw that it was quite empty. She stepped inside to look about a bit. No one was home. The three bears had just gone out for a walk. They had left their 3 bowls of porridge on the table to cool. That's like cereal or like oatmeal. You like oatmeal, Scarlett?
Uh-huh.
Well, you used to like it. You don't eat that anymore. You used to. It's like that. You have to warm it and let it get it cooled off after you cook it. The porridge smelled very good, and Goldilocks thought that she would like to taste it. So she tasted the porridge in the great big bowl, which belonged to the great big bear, but she found it too hot. Then she tasted the porridge in the middle-sized bowl, which belonged to the middle-sized bear, but she found it too cold. Then she tasted the porridge in the wee little baby bear's, and she found that it was just right. So she ate it all. Goldilocks then looked about the room and saw 3 chairs. She thought she would try the great big chair who belonged to the great big bear, but she found it too hard. She then tried the middle-sized chair, which belonged to the middle-sized bear, but she found it too soft. So she tried the wee little chair that belonged to the baby bear, and she found it just right. But when she sat in the wee little chair, she broke it all to pieces. By this time, Goldilocks was very tired, and she went into another room where she saw 3 little beds. She tried the great big bed, which belonged to the great big bear, but she found it too high at the head for her. Then she tried the middle-sized bed, which belonged to the middle-sized bear, but she found it too high at the foot for her. Then she tried the wee little bed, which belonged to the wee little baby bear, and she found it just right. So she lay down upon it, and she fell asleep. While Goldilocks was lying fast asleep, the 3 bears came home from their walk, and they went quickly into the kitchen to get to their porridge. The great big bear looked into his bowl and said in his great big voice, "Somebody has been tasting my porridge." Then the middle-sized bear looked into her bowl and said, "Someone has been tasting my porridge." And the wee little baby bear looked into his bowl and cried in his wee little voice and said, "Somebody has been in my bowl and they've eaten it all up." When they looked at their chairs, and the great big bear said, "Somebody has been sitting in my chair." And the middle-sized bear said, "Somebody has been sitting in my chair." And the wee little baby bear said, "Somebody's been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to pieces." And he cried. The 3 bears then went into the bedroom, and the great big bear said, "Somebody has been lying in my bed." And the middle-sized bear said, "Somebody has been lying in my bed." And the wee little baby bear said, "Somebody's been lying in my bed, and here she is." At that, Goldilocks woke in a fright and jumped out the nearest window. She ran as fast as her legs could carry her, and she never went back to the snug little house of the 3 bears. What are you digging at? There ain't nothing over there. Not one thing. Oh, it's ants. Leave them things alone. I hope you all enjoyed this cute little story. Did you like the 3 bears, Scarlett? Did you like it? Let's see what other ones they got in here. Yeah, this is a cute little book. It has all kinds of stories. Well, leave those alone. Let's see what else we got. We got all kinds of stories in this book. Dum-ba-dum-be-dum. Dum-dum-dum. Let's read the Titty Mouse and the Tatty Mouse. Let's see what that's about. It might be cute. Let's find out what it's about. Well, leave them ants alone. Titty Mouse and Tatty Mouse. Titty Mouse and Tatty Mouse both lived in a house. Titty Mouse went a-leasing to gather up the falling ears of corn, and Tatty Mouse went a-leasing, so they both went a-leasing. Titty Mouse leased an ear of corn, and Tatty Mouse leased an ear of corn. So they both leased an ear of corn. Titty Mouse made a pudding, and Titty Mouse made a pudding. So they both made a pudding. And Tatty Mouse put the pudding into the pot to boil. But when Titty went to put hers in, the pot tumbled over and scalded her to death. Then Tatty sat down and wept. Then the three-legged stool said, "Tatty, why do you weep?" "Titty's dead," said Tatty, "and so I weep." Then said the stool, "I'll hop." So the stool hopped. Then a broom in the corner of the room said, "Stool, why do you hop?" "Oh," said the stool, "Titty's dead, and Tatty weeps, and so I hop." Then said the broom, "I'll sweep." So the broom began to sweep. Then said the door, "Broom, why do you sweep?" "Oh," said the broom, "Titty's dead, and Tatty weeps, and the stool hops, and so I sweep." Then said the door, "I'll jar." So the door jarred. Then said the window door, "Why do you jar?" "Oh," said the door, "Titty's dead, and Tatty weeps, the stool hops, and the broom sweeps, and so I jar." Then said the window, "I'll creak." So the window creaked. Now there was an old bench outside the house, and when the window creaked, the bench said, "Window, why do you creak?" "Oh," said the window, "Titty's dead, and Tatty weeps, the stool hops, the broom sweeps, the door jars, and so I creak." Then said the bench, "I'll run around the house." Then the old bench ran around the house. Now there was a fine large walnut tree growing by the cottage, and the tree said to the bench, "Bench, why do you run around the house?" "Oh," said the bench, "Titty's dead, Tatty weeps, and the stool hops and the broom sweeps. The door jars and the window creaks, and so I run around the house." Then said the walnut tree, "I'll shed my leaves." So the walnut tree shed all the beautiful green leaves. Now there was a little bird perched on one of the boughs of the tree. And when all the leaves fell, it said, "Walnut tree, why do you shed your leaves?" "Oh," said the tree, "Titty's dead, and Tatty weeps, the stool hops, and the broom sweeps. The door jars, and the windows creak. Old bench runs around the house, and so I shed my leaves." Then said the little bird, "I'll molt all my feathers." So he molted all his pretty feathers. Now there was a little girl walking below, carrying a jug of milk for her brothers and sisters' supper, and when she saw the poor little bird molt all of its feathers, she said, "Little bird, why do you molt all your feathers?" "Oh," said the little bird, "Titty's dead, Tatty weeps, the stool hops, and the broom sweeps, and the door jars, and the window creaks, and the old bench runs around the house. The walnut tree sheds its leaves, and so I molt all my feathers." Then said the little girl, "I'll spill the milk." So she dropped the pitcher and spilt the milk. Now there was an old man just by the top of the ladder, thatching a rick, and when he saw the little girl spill the milk, he said, "Little girl, what do you mean by spilling the milk?" "Your little brothers and sisters must go without their supper." Then said the little girl, "Titty's dead, Tatty weeps, the stool hops, and the broom sweeps. The door jars, the window creaks, the old bench runs round the house. The walnut tree sheds all its leaves, the little bird molts all its feathers, and so I spilled the milk." "Oh," said the old man, "then I'll tumble off the ladder and break my neck." So he tumbled off the ladder and broke his neck. When the old man broke his neck, the great walnut tree fell down with a crash and upset the old bench, the house. The house falling knocked the window out, and the window knocked the door down, and the door upset the broom, and the broom upset the stool, and the poor little Tatty Mouse was buried beneath the ruins. That was a tongue twister, wasn't it, Scarlett? That was a real tongue twister. I hope you all enjoyed that, even though it was silly. Have a wonderful day, and there will be more soon.